In my last video, I mentioned that I already implemented the function plot lives in the digit class. So I wanted to show you that method here. Plot live, just as the plot score, it just calls the plot function within variable, the number of digits, and the x position. Now, returning to the game class, and let's continue here with the ship destroyed method. So let's implement LifeLost. That will be called if we have any lives left. So private void LifeLost. Here we want to loop over for a certain amount of time to enable the enemies to move up, and we also want to continue fire beams to continue their path, and then play another sound, a lost life sound, and so forth. Let's continue. So back in the digits class, let's create an unplot function. We need a private static void unplot that takes the format and the x position. We need a step variable, initially set to 0, and then we loop over the number of we loop over the format while I is less than the format. We let's see now. Oh, of course, we loop over another, or we create another loop. We loop over the digits that we have, and then we just use console set cursor position, and we go to the position x plus step, and I mean j plus 1. Here we just write space, 2 spaces. Okay, and then we just increase the step for the next digits if we have any. In that way, the unplot function could be used in more cases, which we will do further on. But for now, we have just one digit. So the public unplot function calls the private unplot. Now back to the LifeLost function. We need a timer. How long time will loop in this function before we return to the game again. Let's set it to 90, and then we need a blinker counter because we want the number of lives in the upper right corner to blink before it decreases. We need a display life variable, which we set to true, which will take care of the blinking. So we call the ship init function, and enemies reset move up. We create a while loop while we're still counting. In here, we just call enemies move up, and then enemies plot. Then we add a delay. So now, if the blink counter is not counting anymore, it's time to change from plotting it to unplot. If the display lives is true, we set it to false, and then call the digits plot lives function, and then underscore lives plus 1, since it decreased in the ship destroyed function. Otherwise, we set display lives to true again and unplot it. In this way, it will blink in the while loop. Okay, finally, we want to plot the new number of lives that we have left, which is the current value of the underscore lives variable. We also want to delete the ship. We move the ship unplot up to the other function. Now, in the ship function, let's add a public void unplot. That's an easy method. We just loop over the number of rows, which is the sprite height. Three. So let's see, sprite height. There we got it, of course. Okay. And we just want to write spaces on each row, so we don't need to have another loop. We just use add function. We go to the x coordinate and the y plus I and just write 7 spaces. Now back to the game function. Okay, ship init. Let's go to ship class again, and then below the constructor we add a public void init function, and in here we just reset the x coordinate of the ship, set it to init, the initial x value, and the same thing with the y coordinates. Well, we don't move the ship in, we only move the ship horizontally, so that is not necessary, but okay. We set the current move to no move. Okay, back to the, let's continue to the enemies class here. Okay, we add a public void reset move up. Okay, so in this method we let's see here, copy rows from the constructor. We reset the move up steps by setting it to a new instance of the timer. Same thing with the move up speed. What else? Okay, let's add another sound. We're not playing an explosion sound whenever the ship is destroyed, but after that we want to play another loop. That could be done using threads or maybe delegate, but let's do it the easy way. We create a new function here, public static void lost life, which will play the new loop. As you can see here, I've added silence before this sound that I wanted to play. That silence is exactly the time the explosion sound takes. So instead of creating difficult logic, we just play the sounds directly after each other. First the explosion, then the lost life, which will have a delay. Let's change the timer to 100 and the blink counter to 8. So the blinking will happen a little bit quicker and the loop will continue a little bit longer, so the sounds will be done before the game continues. Now, we need a beams move function, which we'll just call the beams move function, because we want the beams to continue in this loop and not just stop where they are or disappear. We also need a beams plot function. It might be a good idea to remove the ship beam class instance from the ship class and create it in the game class instead. I might do that later. So the beam plot function just calls the beam plot function, and we add that under the enemies plot. So the enemies and the ship beams will continue to move. The enemies will move up and the beams will just fire, continue to fire the path that they were. Okay, I wrote the wrong name here. Lost. LifeLost it should be. Same thing with the WAV file here. Okay, let's compile. Okay, we have an error sound life lost life. There we go. Let's change the y-mean value to 30 so that the enemies will not move up that far. So we can try this out without waiting too long. There we heard it. First the explosion and then the sound. As you saw, and we'll see again soon, the lives are blinking in the upper right corner. We have 2 right now. It will soon blink. The number 2 blink. Changes to 1. Okay, it works the way we wanted. And the final lives here will not call the life lost, instead it will call the game over, which we have not yet implemented. We're done for now.